To you can identify as a woman. Anyone can, right?
I don't see a problem with
Just literally put the hand up and say I'm a woman. Why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was.
I'm serious.
Curious what happens to these wokies when faced with cold, hard reality? Watch as these reporters obliterate these wokies with a healthy dose of common sense. Hey folks, today is a fine day to dive into the vicious battle between facts and delusions. The left's indoctrination has given rise to a whole brigade of delulu wokies, but when these champions of nonsense hit the mainstream, they get absolutely obliterated by reporters armed with nothing but sheer common sense. Let's see how it goes. So, when this trans activist was trying to defend her argument on self-identification, Pierce threw her a curveball she never expected, which literally left her grasping at straws.
I don't know why you're obsessed with defining it. Like, what is a man? Like, why do we need these arbitrary...
A man is a male, adult human. I mean, that's it.
Right, okay, I don't know that we need
these are just biological facts, but they're just facts. They're not arguable points, are they?
But I think we have a right to self-identify, and you said
as
you
what?
want to...
As what?
If you would like to be a woman, you can identify as a woman. I don't know why there is such an issue around...
We've literally just seen a male rapist use that scam to get himself put into a female prison where he could attack vulnerable women inside a female prison, when even his ex-wife said it was all a scam.
Which is a terrible, very distressing, isolated incident, and I think it's easy to take that and say that means that no one can identify as a woman.
But if anyone, according to you, can identify as a woman, anyone can, right?
I don't see a problem with
Just literally put the hand up and say I'm a woman. Why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was...
I'm serious.
See, this is where the hypocrisy lies. She was literally dumbfounded when Pierce used her own argument to negate her stance. To be honest, things are getting far too left these days. Now, trans activists are claiming men can be mothers. But when Pierce served her with a healthy dose of simple biological facts, she started feeling the heat of her own wokeness.
Motherhood starts way beyond the biological event, and anyone, including men, can mother and play the role of a mother.
Men, father.
Piers, would you...
Women, mother. That's because the titles are male and female titles.
Okay, with respect, would you look into the face of a man that has just lost his wife and is really struggling to play the role of the mother and the father and say that to him?
Yeah.
So you're not a mother.
He's the father.
That child...
Well, you might be more sensitive in those circumstances.
You still call him a father.
He's playing the role of the mother because...
That was me, I'd be a father. I wouldn't suddenly morph into a mother.
Again, with respect, to mother and to father are not gender specific.
They are gender specific.
No, they're not.
Why are we pretending otherwise?
The skills
of course
to
they're
mother
gender
and to
specific.
father can be acquired.
Are you a woman?
Well, yes, I am a woman.
There are limitations to motherhood for
Motherhood
men.
isn't breastfeeding.
No, but hang on a moment.
It's part of it.
It
Some
can
mothers.
be.
Is it intrinsically part of it? Is
It
having a
can
womb
be.
motherhood? Would you say to a woman that can't breastfeed that they're not a mother?
No.
Would you say that?
No, I'm
feeding
just saying
your-
it's one of the many things that actually only a woman can do.
It's funny when the biological facts are set forth, these respectable activists show their true colors. Next up is when this quote-unquote professor tried to discredit Candace's point on reverse racism, but ended up highlighting his own racial bias.
When you say, hey, we have black students at a particular school who aren't performing at that school as well, the immediate assumption that you're making is, well, maybe it's because they're not smart enough, they're not good enough, or they don't belong here. Whereas it could be about the experience that they're having at that institution. Professors who believe that they're not intelligent enough, that they don't have the capability to do the work, that they see them as criminals, deviants, dangerous, up to no good, or they talk about them with the they statements. They're lazy, they don't care, they don't really belong here. They're only here for the financial gain.
I'm giving you actual facts.
No,
right?
I'm giving you actual facts based on extensive
and you can say, well, maybe they
research
just
that's
don't
been
feel
done.
good. But that's not the case. I mean, I went to university. I did not feel good, right? I didn't pull the best grades in high school, probably got into a better university than I should have gotten into based on my performance in high school. It wasn't because of my feelings. It's because I wasn't focused on it. And that, we're talking about a cultural problem, what's going on back at home, as was in my circumstance. And none of that is because of institutionalized policy. It almost seems like you guys refuse to accept fact that, Black students aren't performing well, you feel like you have to have this burden of responsibility when in fact, if you actually wanted to help, you would look at the facts, re-examine the fact that it's not helping anybody, it's not helping Black Americans to artificially place them into universities, and you'd make effective change.
But you're making the assumption that Black students are academically inferior, and they're not.
No,
They're
you
some of
are
our most
actually.
brilliant
That's
students
the
that we have.
basic. No. That you are making the assumption that they are inferior.
You
It
just
is
said
why
that they don't
you want
belong there.
policies. I'm talking about the students that are based on the policies that you are defending right now, saying that we should have these policies that let them into these universities, not based on their skill set, but based on the color of their skin. So you are assuming that they are inferior.
Did you catch that? Now, if these professors are bending over backwards to defend undeserved college admission in spite of the consequences for clever, eligible students, to say that America's future is bleak would be an understatement. Or as Candace hit the nail on the head saying,
to survive in woke culture, you have to become a liar. You have to pretend that you think fat is beautiful. You have to pretend to be race obsessed. You have to pretend that you think Dylan Mulvaney is a woman and should be included in female spaces. We are being told that you have to lie repeatedly in order to survive in corporate culture.
Speaking of survival, it looks like the survival of innocence in this time and age is another great battle we are fighting. Now, these wokies are trying to pollute our future by indoctrinating them with their ideologies. Well, Pierce definitely did not pull any punches when he shocked this woke parent into silence.
When did Hazel decide that she was no longer going to be a girl?
Hazel decided that they were non-binary when they were about 4. They had been exploring gender before that, trying on different pronouns, experimenting with different names, but they picked they, them pronouns and chose the name Hazel when they were 4
Ari,
years old.
with the greatest of respect, I have a 7-year-old daughter, right? When she was 4 years old, her main decision of the day was whether to watch Peppa Pig or Frozen. She had not a clue what about gender identity or non-binary or any of this stuff. And I put it to you that this wasn't Hazel's idea, was it? This was your idea. You decided that Hazel had gender issues that she needed to address, and you persuaded your daughter that she was no longer to be a girl, didn't you?
Sadly, woke policies aren't the only thing dragging America down, because thanks to this influencer culture, we're getting a double dose. Just check out this influencer who's turned her unhealthy lifestyle into a full-time job. She had the gall to call Pierce fat, but soon swallowed her tongue when Pierce slammed her with common sense.
Honestly, if you were really concerned about people being obese and representing something bad, you would take yourself off the air because you're not exactly slim yourself.
Well,
right?
okay, I'm 220 pounds and I'm 6'1", right? You're 5'4" and you're 380 pounds. So there is a difference. I'm not morbidly obese.
Right, but you're still
I'm
fat
actually reasonably
too.
healthy.
You're still fat
I'm reasonably fit. Well, you might think I'm fat. Most viewers are looking at this and think they're not seeing me as morbidly obese, right? So you're perfectly entitled to throw the jibe
But
back
you're
at
still
me.
fat. You being less
I'm not in
fat
Miley
than
Cyrus's
me
pop
doesn't
video.
make, you know.
I'm not in a pop video, am I? Extolling
But
the
you're on
virtues of my
TV.
body.
You're on TV. You're on TV every day.
So you think that me
You're on
sitting
TV
here
every
now...
day. You're going to tell me that...
You think, just to clarify, there is a comparison between me sitting here now, 6'1", 220 pounds. I am reflecting and celebrating a clinically dangerous level of weight, you think?
Is this the level of stupidity that we have fallen into as a society? She literally equated Pierce's journalism skills to her obesity-driven content. Unsurprisingly, we continue to fall further as these people are getting more and more out of control.
Well, Jaylene Cheney made global headlines this weekend after claiming fat people are entitled to extra seats on planes because they're so fat. She said all plus-sized passengers should be provided with an extra free seat or even 2 or 3 seats depending on their size to accommodate their needs and ensure their comfort during the flight. Well, look, Jaylene, you can have your extra seat, you can have 10 extra seats, but you've got to pay for them. Why should you be entitled to special treatment, raising the cost of travel for everybody else because you're obese? Maximum self-entitlement, zero self-accountability.
Someone please police these influencers because we can't afford them spreading stupidity like it's a new trend. Anyways, thanks to the left empowering these wokies to run wild, we've now got trans activists thinking they can cancel anyone for having an opinion. Case in point, this one actually tried to get Pierce canned for daring to speak his mind. But as we all know, he got flabbergasted when Pierce broke his little cancellation bubble.
What would be
And he's
better?
dangerous.
Do you know what would be better than you being fired? Because actually, I'm not intensely keen on this cancelled culture. What would be
You
better?
signed the petition to have me fired.
I did, because you don't seem to want to learn. But what would be better
No,
is if you wanted to learn.
I don't want to learn how
if
you
you wanted
think.
to educate
I don't want to
yourself.
think how you think is what you mean. You want to fire me because you want me to think
Well,
how
most
you think.
people on Twitter
and my
do as
problem
well.
about liberals today is they've become so illiberal. They're only interested in making other people agree with them and think like them. And if they don't, they no-platform them, they ban them, they cancel them, they sign petitions to get people fired, and it is utter nonsense.
Do you ever think you go too far?
Benjamin.
Do you ever regret
Sometimes,
some of the
yeah,
comments?
Sometimes, yeah.
You must recognise that. And that's
but
about
not on
being
gender.
better.
Not on gender. And the reason I identified as a two-spirit penguin was actually not actually, as you think, to make a cheap mockery of people that transition. I completely support all transgender people who transition. I don't support this 100 gender nonsense because I think it trivializes and demeans and makes a mockery of what people like India have
And
to go
most
through.
people who have transitioned are on Piers' side. This
So when I get
this
called
doesn't sink
transphobic,
through.
I'm not
This doesn't
transphobic.
sink
And I
through.
resent you using that phrase. I'm somebody that challenging this ridiculous notion that there are now 100 genders.
Now, after trying to sack Pierce for criticizing 100 genders, you would think this activist would know the terms he is defending so much.
Surely, some people, I totally understand and sympathise with people who have an issue with gender stereotyping. But 100? 100 ways to define
But what
yourself?
this is an umbrella term of non-binary people who don't consider themselves male or female. And
Okay.
these are the terms we have for them to identify.
Okay, but 100?
Well, I mean, those are the different terms that people have
How many
accepted
can
to
you name?
describe different ones.
How many can you name?
Well, we're not going to go into that because you don't need to be a world gender expert. You just need to be compassionate, Piers.
No.
And the
no.
please.
Your idea of compassionate and mine are two different things.
Yes.
I've seen the compassion shown to me in the last week. It's zero. It's just abuse, right? And what you actually want, you want people to be able to identify as anything they want, right to the point that someone like me goes, okay, in that case, I want to be a two-spirit penguin. Then you go nuts.
See? This is the reality of this gender movement that no one even knows what they're defending anymore. At the end of the day, facts don't have time for feelings. Looks like some people could use a crash course in reality. If you enjoyed watching these reporters dish out some much needed truth, give that like button a little love and subscribe for more such content.